So in a very, very dominating position right now, he will be able to out macro his opponent without any issues because he will, of course, have a lot more resources at his disposal. And it looks like that Overseer getting out of position, they're going to get fired down by those Stalkers very quickly, and did not really get a whole lot of scouting other than seeing the size of the army that he has outside of his base. And it looks like he is continuing to stick with this Roach Hydra build, and I still have not seen any Immortals out from the Protoss player right now. If we take a look at the production overlay, we can see that he does have Zealot legs researching for the upgrade, which Hydras are actually pretty strong against Zealots until they get the Zealot leg upgrade, because once they can get that very quick surround on the Hydras, it becomes very difficult for the Hydras to survive that, because the Zealots do a decent amount of damage, and the Hydras only have 80 hit points, so they take a lot of damage from those Zealots. But anyways, we do see that the Nexus is going to be finished here pretty quickly at the natural for Hitchens here. It's almost finished up, and he's continuing to put down a few more gateways. So rather than going with that Robo-Bay tech, it looks like he is going to stick with the warp gate technology and try to just outproduce his opponent, which for the time being he has enough bases and enough miners that he can do that with ease. And both armies just missing each other barely. It looks like Hitchens decides to back off as the Zerg player is moving out, and it looks like he is laying a little bit of a trap here, lets him get close to his base, and then decides he wants to come up and trap him in the base. So he is going to absolutely dominate this Zerg army if he plays this correctly. But it looks like the Zerg player actually, for whatever reason, deciding to leave the expansion alone for Hitchens, and he's going to move up in this base here and try to take out some miners. But the Protoss forces here going to move in very quickly, and actually he is managing to take out a decent amount of probes here, but that Protoss army is just going to absolutely run through the rest of the Roaches and Hydras. And if we take a look at the units overlay here, we can see that the Protoss player has now been knocked down to about 33, so they're almost even once again with their mining. So there's not much of an advantage for Hitchens anymore on the econ game. But if we take a look at the army overlay, we can see that the army of Hitchens vastly is superior to the Zerg army, since he just lost all of his units trying to do that quick hit on the economy. He does have a few Hydras out, and he's continuing to produce more, but I don't think that that is going to be nearly enough units to defend against this very, very large Protoss army that is continuing to grow. And taking a look at the upgrades, he does have +1 on his attack, while the Zerg player does not have any upgrades as of yet. So, and I don't believe that Manslayer has yet scouted. Yeah, he is not aware of this base up at the top expansion, so at this point he probably thinks that they are pretty even in the econ game, but little does he know that there is a fully saturated extra expansion up at the 12 o'clock position on this map. And this is again the danger of a 4-player map. When you're playing against somebody that you do not do enough scouting against, they can grab an expansion like this, and if you are unaware of it for a significant amount of time, you can find yourself in a very, very bad position pretty quickly. But looking at the income overlay here, we can see that Hitchens has once again taken the advantage on the income, and we see that some infestors starting to come out for Manslayer now. So it looks like he may try to use some fungal growth, or possibly even some neural parasite, which will allow him to mind control the units of the Protoss army. That, of course, is much more useful when they have Colossi or Immortals, something that is stronger. It is not quite as useful when they have primarily Sentries, Zealots, and Stalkers, just because those units can be picked off so quickly that it's not as big of a game changer. But Hitchens actually putting down a 3rd expansion, so he is going to have double the amount of bases that Manslayer has right now, and Manslayer just being completely contained in his base and has not decided to try to move out at all. And once again, he is outnumbered in the amount of units, and both in the amount of resources invested in the army. And as you can see here on the production overlay, or I'm sorry, the army overlay here too, he has got a lot less in supply in his army right now, about 81 out of 84, whereas Hitchens is currently supply blocked, but at 142 of 142. So nearly a 60 supply difference between the two players right now. So that is no small difference right there. And it looks like Hitchens actually throwing down an expansion at the gold minerals as well. So it seems like he wants to mine out this map before he even makes an attempt at taking out Manslayer. And Manslayer moving out right now, going to take out this one lone Stalker standing by the xel'naga watchtower, and for some reason Hitchens once again decides to back off, and the Zerg army is going to pursue here, trying to get caught up to this Protoss army so they can do some damage. And that poor one infestor getting too far out in front here, I think it's going to get picked off pretty quickly here if he's not careful. He did get the fungal growth down, but as you can see, the fungal growth not as effective against these units when they have so many HP. And the Zealot charge now finished. They are absolutely getting a quick surround on these Hydras, which make it so difficult for them to get away. And that army is just going to be absolutely decimated once again. You can see that the Zerg player Manslayer has no army on the map right now, as opposed to the 3,000 minerals plus army that Hitchens has on the map. But yet Hitchens still does not want to push into the Zerg player's base right now. He is being very timid, despite the fact that he has taken a huge advantage in every battle that he's been in against the Zerg player so far, and he has 3 more expansions than the Zerg player does right now. So he has a large lead and only a handful of roaches here to defend the Zerg player's base, along with these 2 spine crawlers and the 1 queen. And once again, Hitchens, it looks like, is going to back off for some reason. I gotta say, I'm a little bit puzzled at this point that Hitchens has not moved in. Although he does have some stalkers right now. Looks like he may try to pick off some units here. He has split his army in half. He's got all of his zealots and sentries in the back and is just going to try to use his stalkers, perhaps getting ready to use this as a practice game, going to be using the stalker blink micro, although I don't think that he has it researched yet. It does look like he is currently researching it though, so we may see him use that stalker blink micro, or possibly even just use it to bypass the defenses on the front entrance here and just blink up onto this ledge, which would let him get straight into the Zerg player's base, and he would basically be able to take on all of the Zerg player's tech. And the Zerg player has actually upgraded to Hive, so he will be producing ultras here shortly as well, it looks like. Actually, if we look at the production overlay, he's already got 2 building at this point in time, and it looks like we may see a battle here. The 2 just finishing here, and one lone force field going down, which narrows the ability for the Ultralists to get up and get involved here. Ultralists are much more powerful with the latest patches that we've seen. I believe it was patch 12. They gave them an increase on the amount of damage that they do now, doing 60 damage here. And I'm not sure exactly what these 2 damages types are. I need to definitely figure out what that is. Oh, so this is only against structures. So they apparently do 60 against structures and 25 against ground units. But they do splash damage as well, which is very useful, especially against zealots when they get clumped up or try to get us around. And Green has left the game. Apparently he was spectating this game along with the other people that are in this. I'm not sure if I can see. Yeah, we've got Wooloo spectating along with Drake in here as well. So a lot of spectators in this game, and Manslayer is apparently puzzled by him leaving the game. But anyways, it looks like more Hydras and Roaches coming out, and one more Ultralisk is being produced on the overlay here. We can see that there are some Void Rays coming out for the Protoss player as well. So Hitchens has an absolutely dominating lead on this game still, and he actually has a fleet beacon coming out too, so we may see a mothership here shortly. And he does have all the expansions across the top of the map here pretty much fully saturated, so his income advantage just absolutely astronomical at this point. Over 3,000 to the 700-ish of the Zerg player Manslayer, and he has 5 Stargates right now producing Void Rays. And it looks like we do see a large battle going down right now. Guardian Shield going up to help protect against these Hydras and Roaches, and you can see here these Ultralists even not able to do a whole lot of damage because of the amount of ranged units that Hitchens did have. So he's going to clean up this army, and it looks like he is finally going to move in and put some pressure on the Zerg player's base and try to take him out, which he should have no problem with the amount of units that he has left over. And of course his production capability vastly outnumbers the production capability of Manslayer as well. So he's going to take these units down, these buildings down relatively easily, and also taking down the Zerglings relatively easily as well. If you can see, using 1 blink to save a stalker from getting further fired down by those Zerglings, but not really necessary. Using another blink here to buy himself a couple more seconds for that stalker as well. And Manslayer is going to GG, so Hitchens is going to take game 1. Let's move on to game 2.